Which heavy-duty diesel is best, GM or Ford? And what should you buy next?
Look, I don't want to talk. How you try and press the kid and read it, you was soft.
All right, guys, welcome back to yet another episode of Let's Assess Podcast. If you guys can support us, Blackbird merch is live. That'd be awesome. And then link is in the bio on that.
All right, guys, welcome back. Thanks for listening. If you're liking this content that we're putting out, it's a little bit different than normal, but it's going to kind of become our new thing. So if you like it, subscribe, like, comment, everything. Like, just interact with us on social media, on YouTube, everything. If you're listening on just like a podcast streaming place, give us a 5-star rating. Go like us on our social medias. It's just a huge support and keeps us going and, shows that you guys care. So thank you. Love you guys. And we're going to jump right into this.
So we did 2 episodes ago, all of the heavy duties against each other. When it came to Ram, not Dodge, Ram. People in the comments were not happy that we called it Dodge, but it is a Dodge. So we went over all of them.
It's a Ram.
Yeah, it's a Ram. We went over all of them, but in this episode, 2 big things that guys around here at least are kind of floating is, do they want a GM, whether GMC or Chevrolet, or do they want a Ford? So, AJ, which one should we buy next?
Well, let's dive into it. We're going to start at the front, and we're going to work our way back on these. And we're going to keep GM together as GMC and Chevy. So knowing that...
the first thing that we should do is split the price. Let's talk about price real quick, and then I can talk about GM, you go Ford.
Yeah.
So you jump into that.
So a fully built, limited Ford, absolutely loaded to the nines, anything and everything you can think on it, like right around $105,000 is going to be sticker price on that. So seems absolutely ridiculous, but Brent, what is the GMC?
It seems ridiculous, but you can live in your truck, but you can't race your house.
Exactly. That's what you need.
Yeah,
you can't pull your trailer with your house.
Yeah, I'm surprised I said that line right. Normally I get that mixed up, the house and truck flip. I'm like, you can race your house, but you can't live in your truck.
Can't live in your truck.
Yeah. Anyway, so GMC versus Chevrolet. The GMC you can get quite a bit more expensive. We just spec'd it fully, and these are single rear wheels. You can get the dualies more expensive. To about $109,000 to $110,000 is what it looks like to me, and then you'd be paying dock and then tax on that, which is nuts, I guess, depending on what state you live in. So yeah, you're in it like the 110 easy, 110 big ones, 1,000 big ones, and on the Chevy side of things, I would say the high country, you could probably get it to about low 90s, maybe 90, 91. On a single rear wheel. That's what I would say. So it's the GMC you can get, and that's the ultimate, but that's considerably more expensive, and it's literally the same.
Yeah.
Everything except the appearance stuff.
Yep. So we're going to dive right into that. A couple quick things right off the bat with the Ford. They went to a new grille for this year and a new headlight. The headlights have a full LED string down the side. The grill has a bigger honeycomb look to it.
No, I'm not a fan of it.
I'm not a huge fan of the grill. The headlights have grown on me now that I've seen a few of them rolling down the road. I do like the headlight look now.
Yeah.
I wasn't a huge fan of it before, and I've seen a couple with a different grill, and that changed my thinking process on the headlight at least. So knowing that, the bumper looks super clean, the grill works, it's fine. The headlights, really like them. The hood is fantastic. The hood's super, super low, shape's really nice down, good visible from the front end. Front fenders look good. It's got that more of an off-road truck look from the front, I think.
Especially the trimmers.
Especially, the trimmer packages. It definitely looks off-roady, but even, the Limited is not off-road, and it has that more aggressive look, I feel like, from the front. Give us a rundown on the front end of the GM side.
So the GM side, there's packages on Chevrolet that you can get a colored grille. So I kind of talked about that in the last podcast, but most of the grills from Chevrolet are chrome. Love it or hate it, that's up to you. The savings, you could paint your bumper any color you want with how much cheaper.
Yeah, honestly though, but that is one cool thing that I noticed as we were doing this comparison is you can choose a lot more on GM than you can Ford. Ford is like, you can pick packages and you can pick if you want bed liner and so on and so forth, but you can't pick like, oh, I want a different grill or I want different wheels. Like in that Limited, there's one set of wheels and one set of interior, right? So they're very boom, boom, boom. That's what you get. Where on Chevy and GM both, there's a lot of different options with the packages and et cetera.
Yeah.
The Ford seems very, I mean, you get different wheels for the packages, but otherwise it's like, boom, this is what you get.
Yeah,
for
and by
this
packages,
model.
we're talking like Limited, platinum trimmer, lariat. Yeah. So
Exactly.
I think that when it comes to the high end of GMC, the Ultimate looks amazing. The Vader Chrome looks so sick. And then when it comes to Chevrolet, I think the girl looks really good. I like the headlights. Some people don't. I think it sits really well. They've brought that truck's front up a little bit. It's not so squatted in the front, which obviously a leveling kit would fix, but it on the lot, it looks really good. It looks aggressive. It looks clean. The hood is not as ideal as the Ford hood, but when you're driving, like we talked about in the last pod or in the heavy duty pod, it's a good experience. They've lowered the dash, so I'm not too worried about that. We ought to jump into engines and
let's
touch on that a little
drivetrain.
bit.
One thing that I do like, the GMC, the front end of them looks more off-roady and more aggressive than the Chevy, and I do like that look.
But I think a lot of that, in my opinion, is color.
Yeah.
Or like when it comes to chrome.
The chrome and that, yeah.
Because dude, there's this company doing a giveaway. It's been all over my Instagram feed. And they have the AT4X versus the ZR2.
Yep.
And the ZR2 is not a chrome grille, it's paint match or black.
And it looks mean too.
Dude, it looks really off-road. So
Gotcha.
I don't know. I mean, I think a lot of it is just the chrome, honestly.
Okay. Yeah, the High Country just looks that chromey old man look. Alrighty, jumping into drivetrain. So for where we're at, what we do, obviously 4-wheel drive. It's really nice that the Ford comes with a locking rear differential. You can get it in, I think it's a 3:31 gear ratio in the rear end. You got to do the FX4 package to do that. It's like another $500, but having that locking rear differential is super awesome. Back when I drove a Ford, there was a lot of times when I was like pulling a trailer up like a gravel road to the snowmobile lot, I'd just pop that rear differential in and I'd have no problem getting to the top. I wouldn't go to 4-wheel drive or anything. I just boop and up you went. So that's a cool feature for drivetrain for the Ford. Otherwise, they both have a 10-speed transmission. Originally, this 10-speed was co-built between GM and Ford. Very comparable, very minimal issues between both manufacturers, same components, etc. Very, very good transmission. Engine-wise, we've got the 6.7 in the Power Stroke. They have the standard package and they have the high output package. Standard package, you're looking at 475 horsepower. Do you know what the torque is on that? It's like 960 or something.
On which ones?
The standard.
It's it's upper nines.
Yeah, like 960 or something like that, I want to say. And then they've got the high output option that is 500 horsepower and 1,200 foot-pounds of torque, which you really do feel the difference there and know like, damn, that thing really is pumping it because, you know, those torque numbers are so much higher. So obviously both of them have 4-wheel drive. Ford has a straight axle. The Chevrolet has the wishbone style. Hope do the Chevy, you know, but but that's something that I think speaks for Ford with their durability is that straight axle. It's something that really is pretty strong, tough, can take some abuse. Their drivetrain is pretty impressive and putting up some numbers that are very impressive that the truck will hold up to those high numbers. So
yeah. And if you guys happen to be someone that's a buyer that's looking for a 7.3 or a gas engine in heavy duty, Ford 7.3 right now is probably the one to go with.
Yeah. I forgot that they. I mean,
this is mainly diesels, but that's
some
kind
people.
Of a cool
I mean,
engine.
they don't need that diesel though, you know.
Yeah.
So that is a good option.
I always argue either go diesel or go light duty.
Yeah, no joke. Yeah, you might as well get an F-150.
Yeah, they put airbags on it.
Yeah.
In Chevy, in the last couple of years, they finally put 4-wheel drive, automatic 4-wheel drive in them, and Fords have too.
Yeah,
I think so.
Do they?
I
Yeah.
think the new ones
Okay.
do, which is huge. Like I love having
it's
that.
awesome.
Yeah,
It's awesome.
It's so nice. So basically, what that is, if you don't know, is it's kind of like all-wheel drive, and in a way, it's putting power and cutting power when it needs it instead of just being locked in four-wheel drive.
Yeah, so like the second you're like it's in two-wheel drive, and the second a tire slips, it engages that front four-wheel drive, and then boom, you're off, and it doesn't unengage until it has that like giveaway.
In the winter, if I had one of those, I'd never take it out of four.
My truck lives in auto,
Yeah.
all winter.
Yeah,
it
yours does have it.
Yeah,
huh?
it has it. Yeah,
okay.
it's and that's a new thing to the heavy duties. Like it,
They used to never have.
Ford-
Like my 21 doesn't even have. Ford 21 doesn't even have automatic.
auto.
Yeah.
Huh, that's wild.
Yeah. So I think that's a cool thing before we jump into it. Let's jump into the engine and transmission. Obviously, we have very few issues with them. I really like the Duramax. Like or hate GM, most people can agree that the Duramax is a pretty dang good engine, as is the Power Stroke. And the Allison is a great. Did I just say They both have good engines and they both have good transmissions. They're running the 6.6 Duramax, and then if you go gas, it's 6.6 as well. Good power we talked about in the last HD podcast. I would argue that the Chevy feels like it has a little bit more torque because I think it connects to the road better than the Ford does. That's just my opinion, but very few reliability issues. Let's jump into the cab and let's talk about like driving experience. I think that's what people really care about. They're all, all these trucks are pretty good now. Let's talk about the driving experience and what you think of both of those.
Okay. Driving experience in both of those. The Ford has a smoother ride now. It used to be a little rougher for sure, I thought, than the GM. It's a much smoother ride, and they're very comparable to the GM. But
They've gotten a lot smoother.
I think the GM wins in that smoother ride.
Yeah,
and
I definitely agree.
the GM just feels more like a Cadillac when I'm driving. It's just like this thing just is comfortable, like suspension wise.
Yeah.
When it comes to payload, though, for that, Ford definitely wins the payload in the numbers there. I'll have the numbers when we get to the back half of the truck there. But for the overall ride, I'd say Ford close second, but definitely second place in that category. Sitting in it, the Ford seats, I think personally, are the most comfortable. They shape your body. They comfort you a little bit more. It feels more like a race car seat to me. It's just, it cradles your whole body. So I really like that. The heated seats in the Ford definitely get a lot hotter. If you like the hot heated seat, that's definitely awesome. Both have heated steering wheels in all options, which if you're buying a new vehicle, it's a must for me. That's just a great thing. As far as visibility, you can still see better out of the Ford. I drive with my seat all the way down, and I can see better still out of the Ford than the GM with the new dash and everything. But neither one is you're not compromising. Visibility is good. Mirrors, very comparable, good mirrors. The Ford mirror is better than the GM mirror, in my opinion. It just doesn't have as much bounce and flex in it when it's extended. As far as interior, like dash and all that, like the fancy shit in it, I guess, I think GM has a very nice touch when you turn on like the High Country or like the Ultimate or something like that. The display that comes across is odd. Like they killed it there. Like, it's just an intro that's awesome. It's like, okay, that's a cool little touch. Ford has missed the colors, honestly, in the displays for me. I don't like their like light white, light blue. It just looks too cold and like to me. It
looks tacky.
Yeah, it's tacky. I don't like it. So that's not huge for me. I think for overall comfortability of pushing buttons, using the screen, usability, and like the center console, I think Ford wins actually. I think they win that. It's just the colors and the screen is tacky for me, so they don't win there.
I think that it's gotten to the point, I wouldn't say this on the 23 or 22 HD as much in the Chevy or on the GM side of things. With the new 24s, I really believe, and just hearing people talk and stuff like that, it's really a preference thing. People will argue which interior is better all the time. When it came to the 23s, most people, even if they were GM people, they could kind of reason that the Ford is a nicer interior, but now it's preference. Like I like the GM interior now. I love the Ford, but I probably would say I prefer the GM now in 24, and it's a preference thing. They're both so nice.
Well,
Way too nice for trucks.
While we're on that, honestly, I'm gonna say an SLT. What is the Chevy? The LTZ, and then the Lariat Ford. That compared to their highest trim model, it's like the same.
Yeah,
like
it really is.
There is not anything there that I'm just like, wow, I can't live without that. Like there's different color options and things like that are in the higher levels that like if I was to get a Chevy, I'd want the High Country for the blue interior just because I like that color. Ford, I'd want the platinum because I like that color of the leather for there. But it's not to do with the durability or the better leather or anything like that.
Like the better screens.
Yeah, the better screen. It's all so comparable. Everything's so comparable. It's just like the color and what you like and what you're willing to spend that money on, I guess. But they're all like very, very comparable interior, and they all have the same, like all of them have a button to put the tailgate down now and shit. Like that's,
yeah,
it's pretty awesome. So what do you think interior on the GM?
I'd say my biggest thing is just the improvement that it's had from 23 on the HD to 24. I think they've lowered the dash, which helps a lot. I felt like I was driving a Ram. I said it right, Ram. I felt like I was driving a Ram when I was jumping from Ford, because I drive a Ford right now, into the Chevrolet before that, because I just felt like I couldn't really see out of it as well. Now it's still not as good as the Ford visibility wise, but it's way better. And I could definitely overlook that part of a GM right now when I probably couldn't in the past couple years. It just felt so weird. I get used to it, but it was just weird. The buttons, the features, everything is, top of the industry. It's all really good stuff. I really don't have a complaint about it. I like that there's some options in the Chevy in Ford too. I like that, like ZR2 has a different interior, and High Country, like AJ was saying, you can get the blue. So I think all of that is pretty great in the GM and then the GMC versus the Chevy. There's a few changes. The interior's a little different. But again, they're both really nice, and it really honestly comes down to preference. So that's what I would say. You guys just get in them and see what you like. Just keep in mind that the GMC versus the Chevy, if you compare dang near the same thing, the GMC you're going to spend a little bit more. But if you like the look of that, then by all means.
Yeah. Now something that I just want to say, because like I travel with my parents quite often, so like usually my dad will ride in the passenger seat with me, and then my mom and my wife will ride in the back seat. And making sure the back seat is comfortable and good for them, which, in these newer trucks, they're all pretty good back seats anymore. But it's something that my family's always really focused on because we travel so much. So the back seat is pretty comparable, I'd say. The Ford was super comfortable in the back seat. I'd say that's just, the seats cradle you more in the back seat just as well. The back seat in the GM seems more, bench style. It's not as comfortable for the two seats in the rear. The middle is obviously never comfortable for anybody. They both are very good. I don't think either one's a bad option by any means. They both have the longer, it's where your legs stay on the seat good and everything. Heated seats in the back. They got the heating to the back, everything, like very nice in the back. I would say you can't go wrong either way, but the Ford feels like it has a little bit more room, and the whole inside of the Ford to me feels like it has a touch more
space. And there again, it's a preference thing. Like some people think things are too far away from them.
Yep.
And some people like that space. Yep. The older GM stuff, like a couple years back, the back seat was a nightmare. Ford went to a big back seat a long time ago. But Chevy was terrible. Like there was no leg room, no heated seats. There were no vents in the back. So people complained about it all the time. And finally they made it big. And now like AJ's saying, it's very comparable. Tailgate with the GM stuff, you can get the multi-flex tailgate. That's kind of a cool option. Some people don't like it if they're towing stuff all the time. because if they press the wrong button, it can drop the step onto the ball. With the GMC, you can get options for lights to put in the multi-flex, put speakers in it, kicker speakers, which I don't know, it's kind of tacky. They're going to get filled with dust, at least out where we live. But that's some of the, I would say that probably GM's tailgate is better. I think the Ford Platinum and Limited and King Ranch looks better because they have that big, like, stainless steel emblem on the back, but they're both very functional. Some of the Fords I don't like when it comes to snowmobiling, because if you have one of those tailgates where the step comes out of it when you're going in and out with stuff, dirt bikes or whatever, that plastic piece tends to fall off or get ripped off out of the clips. And so I just take mine off before I lose it on the highway because I know it's one of those things that is probably going to fall off. So I'd say both are good tailgates now. Chevy's upped it. And you want to go into kind of towing?
Yeah, let's kind of go into towing a little bit. I think both of their like fifth wheel packages, I like that they come with that option. If you're ever going to be pulling fifth wheel, definitely order that kit in there, because then the wiring harnesses ran into the bed and everything. Your cable's all inside, makes it a lot nicer. I think the gooseneck ball in the Ford is better. I like the Reese system over the whatever GM uses. I'm not a huge fan of the GM one. Mine always like gets stuck, like the pins, like it rusts and it never wants to work. I always got to like beat it and with a hammer and get WD-40 in it and et cetera to get it to come out. So not a huge fan after it's been in there for a while. Either way though, awesome that it comes with it. You can get it with it in the truck already. Both of them are good systems, good enough for sure. Very strong, durable. Long bed, short bed, they're both about the same, feel roomy, for what it is. Now, when we break it down in the number wise, I have the Ford stuff here. I don't know if you have the GM numbers.
Yeah, I can pull it up.
But for the regular 6.7 with the 331 axle ratio, it has 30,000 pounds GVW for pulling with it. With this is gooseneck. And then the high output has 31,000 pounds GVW rated. And then, let's see, I thought the numbers were on here. I want to say it's 15.5 on the ball and 22,000 on the ball for the high output, which is pretty incredible that those are the numbers that they're putting out.
What was the most?
The most, 31,000.
So GMC says that their maximum trailer weight rating on Sierra heavy duty 1 tons is 36,000.
Oh, this says F250. Let me find the F350 here.
And so on the 2500 Sierra, it says it goes down to 18,500. Yeah. That's the GM brochure. What I would say for me as a consumer, I don't really care what they say. It's just like anything. I don't care what they say, horsepower, or any of that. For me, it's feel. And they both can tow way more than you should tow on a road without a semi, in my opinion. Yep. But I think that the Ford probably handles a load better. I would say I think it feels a little better on a Ford compared to a GM.
I got the numbers here for F350. Sorry, guys. Those numbers were for F250. For the conventional on the back on the ball, it's 31,000 for the regular 6.7, and then for the high output, they're saying 35.2.
So GMC's actually higher.
They're higher.
But that's what they say. That's my exact point. It's like they say they're higher. I feel like a Ford handles the weight a little better. That's just what I feel. But again, I mean,
and those numbers match for the gooseneck as well for Ford. So same rating for both. I would have to agree. I've pulled a lot with both of them and about, similar load, same weight and everything. And I would have to say the Ford walks all over the GM. I think it does. Like when I'm pulling a trailer, the Ford walks all over that thing.
I'd be curious to have you drive a 24, because the 24's power is better than a couple years ago.
Yeah. Yeah. And we'll have to, I haven't pulled with a 24, so we'd have to try that for sure. But, as far as like similar age class here with trucks, the Ford definitely really outshined it, I thought. And then the one thing that Ford has going for them, and this is like, if you're pulling heavy, it's great if you can get it moving, but if you can't stop it, that's what is scary. And the GM brakes, I think the brakes on the GM are fantastic. And I haven't had any situations with my GMC where I've been like, oh shit, I'm not going to get stopped. Right. But the exhaust brake, they both have the exhaust brake option and the diesels. And I think that the Ford exhaust brake, because you can go exhaust brake on or exhaust brake in automatic. And the automatic exhaust brake works so good. For instance, okay, I'm cruising down a pass. I'm doing 30 mile an hour. That thing kicks on as much as it needs to keep me at 30 miles an hour. It doesn't let me get going too fast. It doesn't look like if it starts, the hill goes to where it's not as steep, it keeps me at that speed limit. How it figures out where you want it to be through the throttle and the brake, it just learns and then knows that's where it wants to be held. And that automatic works super, super good. Love that. It's fantastic. The GM doesn't hold back as good as the Ford, but it's definitely, it's there, and I love having it. It helps immensely on brakes. You don't have to touch your brakes as much.
No.
So I think they're both really good there. Looking from the back, I think you went over the tailgate. They both have pretty much same features. They're both good. I did see, and I don't know if this is in all the Ford models, but I know in the Platinum and the Limited, you can push the button on your remote fob on your key, and the tailgate will pick itself up.
Yeah, Chevrolet has that option.
Oh, do they have it? Okay.
I think it's an option. You got to get power tailgate, but you can't get power up on the multi-flex in Chevrolet right now. So I guess we'll see what happens. But yeah, okay. Let's we talked about this, but which one you taking free, and then which one you buying?
I'm gonna stick the same. I'm gonna go. Okay. I'm gonna go. Platinum Ford with the standard package, white, all that. And I think that would be my go-to vehicle right now if money was not an option. But with where I'm at personally, financially and everything, I think the High Country is a more value for my bang for my buck. I like the High Country. Yeah. I think that's a sweet option with the blue interior. I just fell in love with that. And otherwise, fully loaded on each one. Got to do that. But I like the interior of the Platinum, and I like the blue interior on the High Country, and those are probably the two things that sway me to go that way. Since I've had a GM, I think the Ford would be, if money wasn't an option, it is definitely significantly more expensive, and just to have something new, something exciting, whatever. And I do like the Ford, but very comparable, and I would take either one hands down. But if money was an option, I'd go Chevy, but that's where I'm at. You?
Yeah. I don't know, ZR2, I think I'm going to stick with ZR2 diesel. And again, I would say this, I don't think I said this. The thing with the payload thing, to me, I do feel like the Ford handles a big load really well. But I will say that I think that the GM is a smoother ride, and I would be willing to sacrifice a little bit of, towing what I felt. Because obviously the numbers don't align with my opinion. But I feel like I would take the smoother ride and sacrifice feeling like it could tow more, because with a enclosed 4-place snowmobile trailer or Razor trailers or campers, most of the stuff that I'm hauling on a regular basis, it's not really pushing 38,000 pounds. Yeah. So,
well, and that's something I do want to say, actually. Since I am running this GMC, it squats a lot. When I put a load behind it, it squats miserably.
I've seen that on most of the 2500s. I don't see that on the 1-tons as much.
Mine's a 1-ton.
It is?
Yeah, mine's a 1-ton. Really? And that thing squats just horribly. It goes down and squats, and then it hits all the springs, and it's like, oh yeah, now I'm good. It handles it fine, and it's not like it's bottoming out or anything like that. But they have that cushy ride, and I think that's how they achieve their good ride when they're empty, is they must have a softer 2 or 3 inches of the stroke. And that little bit, it just squats 2 to 3 inches. But it doesn't matter if I have 19,000 pounds behind me or 10,000 pounds behind me. That thing is squatted to the max.
Really?
It's a 1-ton. I
haven't even seen that on your truck when you pull in your trailer.
It drives me crazy. And anytime I'm hooked to a gooseneck, I'm just like, God, it looks horrible. But
time to get a new truck.
Yeah, well, Dad, get a new one and do the same thing.
Yeah. ZR2 Diesel's my pick for the money thing, and I think LTZ Z71 Sport Edition in slate gray is my pick if money was an option or a factor. And I think that's where we wrap this bad boy up.
Yeah. Thanks, guys. Appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks for listening.
See you on the next one.
Later.